Hey, what's up everybody? I wanted to talk to you guys about a little subject that's got me a little riled up. Now, you will probably know exactly who it is that I'm talking about, and there's no secret that there's no loss of love between the two, us two, and you might even know by the thumbnail. I'm not even sure what thumbnail I'm going to put up here yet, but you might know by that exactly who I'm talking about, and I really don't care. But I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's got me a little riled up, and so here we go. All right, I'm going to be looking at my phone here because I made some notes. Okay, so let's break down when we go to the drag strip and the types of people that are there racing their cars. What has rubbed me the wrong way is, poking fun at people that are the quote-unquote time chasers. That they're only worried about the time. Now, we're lumping all of those guys in as time chasers, the ones that are sitting at the tree, that are not worried about the reaction time. They're sitting there eating a sandwich, as some have said, while the other racer is already taken off, because that's all that they care about. Now listen, let me break this all down, and I'll do it as best as I can. The types of people that are racing, we all have different goals, whether that be myself or anyone else. There are those people that occasionally make it to the drag strip. Even those that go all the time, they're not professionals. They're not traveling the country every weekend in a different state, drag racing their car and getting paid to do so. Okay, so 99.9% of us that are at the drag strip are all novices. Whether we are really good and we have a fast car and we can chop that tree down and make it to the end before anyone else, or whether we're the guy that it's our first time at the drag strip. So there are many people that are there that are trying to learn their car. Let's say they've gotten a new car, they got a new setup, they're trying to learn how it launches. They might be practicing different launch techniques, whether that be, trying various RPMs, different gears, learning, if your car is equipped with a trans brake. There's many different reasons why somebody might be asleep at the tree while it's already turned green before they even go. They might be completely green to their car where they don't even, have learned all of their settings yet. And some cars are extremely complicated. I'm not just talking about a Dodge Demon, I'm talking about many other cars with different types of launch control. So, that could be a reason why they're sitting there at the tree. They could be there for data logging purposes. They might be trying to, get that launch just perfect so their tuner can look at their launch and, make necessarily adjustments. Let's switch gears a little bit. There might be those that are there, and that's their sole purpose, is practicing their reaction time, trying to get better and better at cutting a good light. When you are learning your car and you're learning how to cut a good light, it can be extremely difficult with all the different things and all the different buttons you have to push. Your anxiety level might be really high and you are asleep at the tree because you're just learning. You might be on your way to cutting a good light, but the only way you're going to learn is by getting out there and doing it. Now, where I have a problem is where we are taking jabs at those people like they're less than, what we're doing is more important. And then there's those people that their sole purpose is to beat the guy next to them. And really that's the point of drag racing. At its very root level, the point of drag racing is to beat the guy you're dragging against. The term drag, you're trying to, that's exactly what it means. You're trying to win against the guy next to you. Now, where I think things have changed now, more so than they have in years past, is we've placed a big emphasis on safety and keeping it off the street, not drag racing on the street. Now, I know that still goes on, and it's probably just as strong now as it's ever been. But I don't know. In my opinion, I think that street racing has definitely become less popular over the years. Now, it might seem more popular because people are filming it, people are putting on YouTube, etc. But I don't think it's as popular as it was back, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and late 90s when I was growing up. I mean, it was huge, the car meets we would go to and go out drag racing at night. I don't think it's that big anymore because the states have cracked down on laws, and it's become a major crime if you're caught street racing, mandatory night in jail kind of thing. So I know I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Definitely shy away from it. I know we joke and we kid, oh, we're going to Mexico, yada yada, and that might happen here every now and then, from a stoplight to stoplight. But for the majority, I believe that a lot of people are indeed taking it to the strip, and because of that, we're seeing all different types of people that aren't used to, necessarily all the ins and outs of drag racing. Now listen, there is nothing wrong with the guy that's trying to cut a good light, with a guy that's trying to learn his car. He's trying to get that perfect launch technique, that perfect launch RPM, and there's nothing wrong with the guy that has mastered all of those things, that is trying to beat the guy next to him. But in reality, most of the time when we're there at the drag strip, it's all open, test, and tune. Now listen, you can kind of poke fun at the guy next to you if you are at a race event and you were in a class and you were through your qualifying rounds, now you're at eliminations. Yeah, now you've gotten to that point where the importance of beating that guy is paramount. You need to cut a good light. You need to get that perfect launch. You've got to already know your car. You've already got it dialed in. You're not making tuning adjustments for the tuner, etc. For the most part, yeah, you might be data logging, but for the most part, it's pretty dialed in once you've gotten to the elimination rounds. Of course, we make small adjustments to whatever the car ran. We look at the time. We look at our data log, etc. Make minute adjustments to race, but the majority of the time that we're out there drag racing, it's all open test and tune until you're at that race event where it becomes, paramount that, you've got all that stuff dialed in. Now you're making a race. Now, that's the most important, is having all those things down: the reaction time, the launch, beating that guy off the line and beating him to the end of the track. That's when it's important. Now back to when we call somebody a time chaser. It's so funny how these people that are poking fun of people that are time chasing, that are just trying to get that certain time, it's really funny to me where those same people that are saying that, they want to see their slip, they want to see what time they run, then they're comparing their times to the times of others. Oh, look at me, this is my personal best. Oh, just so happens, let's look at this other person's time slip and see, oh, I'm nipping at their heels, and their setup is similar to mine, etc., or their tuner's better than mine, etc. Well, if you're not a time chaser, who cares about that? Really, who cares? If you're not a time chaser, then call that person out and let's race them and see who's actually going to win. Lay all your cards out. But don't sit there and compare your best time to some time of others and do that bench racing crap. That's a bunch of nonsense. In my opinion, if anybody's to be made fun of, it's the person that's doing that's bench racing. Oh, well, my time has been this, so I'll definitely beat you. That is the person that's spewing out a bunch of nonsense. When we compare our cars or our tuners from one to the other, just based on a piece of paper, you're making fun of a time chaser, but yet you're doing childish crap like that. That's what's a bunch of nonsense. So the point of all of this is to say, hey, we don't know the guy's story that's sitting next to us. We don't know what he's there for exactly. Unless you walk up to that person and you say, hey, we're at open test and say, hey, let's race. I think I can beat you. And if that guy agrees or a girl agrees that, all right, I think I can beat you, let's race, that's fine. That's, in those cases, that's what you need to be going for. But when you're lining up to somebody that's next to you, then, the lights go down, you take off and leave, and just because they didn't get out in front of you, that somehow they're a terrible driver. So anyway, all of this breaks down to is we don't know the guy's story that's next to us. We don't know the reason why he's there. So unless you're walking up to the person saying, hey, I know my car's faster than yours, let's line them up. So unless you're doing that, let's stop taking jabs at people because they're not doing it exactly the way you are. They're not there for the exact same reasons that you are. It's a bunch of nonsense. We all love our cars. We all want to see them run their best. And yes, you know what? I don't care what people say. The time does matter. You do care how quick you ran. Otherwise, you wouldn't be picking up your slip. Oh, I beat the guy. I don't need to see the slip. You drive right on past the booth, not even pick it up. You know what? You're saying you're not a time chaser. Then why don't you do that next time? Why don't you stop collecting slips? You know, otherwise, it's exactly what you care about. Stop poking fun of people that are doing the same thing that you care about and trying to make it seem like you're bigger than them, just trying to be a big giant bully. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Us as a car community, we have to come together. And I know some people are going to say, well, all you're doing is dividing us. All you're doing is, mentioning other people and trying to create a rift between others or whatnot. Now, listen, I'm just trying to call it how it is. Stop the nonsense. Stop poking at people for the things that they are doing just because it's not the exact same reason that you're out. And that's all I got to say.